Connor O'Gara, the senior national columnist at Saturday Down South, covering all things college football with an eye on the SEC. And Connor, week 6, what do you think here? We're watching Arkansas and Bobby Petrino going into Tennessee. It's like we're waking up in 2011.
Week 7, last I checked. I mean, that's where we're at here. It's already week 7 in the college football season. I'm amazed that Robert Patrick Petrino is once again a coach, at least on an interim basis, in the Southeastern Conference. It's a sentence that I feel like I'm saying out loud a lot because I need to actually remember that this is real and this is happening. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at this from his perspective, one would think you're going to empty the kitchen sink. You're going to go after an opportunity like this against Tennessee and try and show the world that you're capable of winning these types of games. That means being super aggressive. That means being willing to understand that you have an opportunity that you've been waiting for obviously more than a decade. And I would expect to see that version of Arkansas show up. Jalen Green already kind of plays like that, so I don't really think you need to tell him. But after the defensive changes that Petrino's already made to that staff, all signs point to him, going into Knoxville and trying to pull out just what would be, in my opinion, a miracle victory.
Okay, so the same idea is that UCLA would have been a miracle win over Penn State. Do you look at upsets from last week and think that can be translated, into the future? Do you look at these games as just, it has more to do with the team that lost and maybe some of the weaknesses about them? Because I'm not sure if I see those same things that are going on with Penn State and Texas that was going on with Tennessee right now.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing that either. And I think for both of those programs, what they endured on Saturday was really alarming. I mean, I was there in the swamp, and I thought that from a Texas standpoint, they got beat in every phase of the game. And I wasn't saying that about them for the first 4 games that they played this season. I do think that obviously Arch Manning had other areas of strength that just really did not surface against Florida. Whereas Penn State, I think that you looked at the Oregon game and thought, well, you know what, they're a team that is still probably going to end up going 10-2, and they'll still probably get to the college football playoff, and they'll end up being fine. And then you see the way that they came out against UCLA, just completely flat. Defensively, they looked absolutely lost. And when they needed to be able to have it at the end of the first half, and James Franklin's up there holding on to timeouts like they're gold, they couldn't muster any sort of offense. So, yeah, I don't really think that Tennessee has those same issues, those potential warts, but it's been such a week-to-week year in college football so far. It's not full-on 2007 yet, Arkansas fans, but there is definitely a moment of wow, like this can just happen to anybody, and I think those two teams were a good example of that.
Ole Miss or Oklahoma, both teams in the SEC, both 5-0, Connor. If you had to take one, I mean, you can take both of them if you want both of them, but if who do you think is the better team right now, Ole Miss or Oklahoma?
I would probably go Oklahoma if John Mateer is healthy, but he's not. And I don't know that he's going to be fully 100% the rest of the year. Now, I expect him to be able to make a full recovery from this injury, but I still think that with the way that he likes to play, you're going to be susceptible to those types of injuries. I don't need to tell you that. I think that there are a lot of people that are assuming that, like, all right, once they get him back, that they'll be just fine. But I think Oklahoma still has some other issues that it needs to figure out, the non-Mateer rushing options. They're the only team in FBS that hasn't forced a turnover yet, which is just wild for a team that's second in scoring defense. But I do still think that Oklahoma probably has a higher ceiling than Ole Miss, who has won 3 SEC games, albeit all by 1 score. And the Trinidad Chambliss playbook, scouting report, it's starting to come out, and I'm curious if that's going to hurt Ole Miss in the latter half of the schedule without necessarily an imposing defense, a good defense, but an imposing one. So I think Oklahoma's got a higher upside, even if the schedule might not work out in Oklahoma's favor in the way that it will for Ole Miss.
I got one more for you that I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I might be a little late for the Miami Hurricanes and Carson Beck, and he's had a lot of reps, and he's been stellar. But Texas Tech, another team that spent a lot of money in the offseason, Which one of those teams would you be buying stock in, the Miami Hurricanes or the Texas Tech Red Raiders?
You know, the Texas Tech stock is probably still low enough where you can get in on it, but I was totally right about one of these teams and totally wrong about another. And I had Texas Tech winning the Big 12. I think in this day and age, follow the money. And when a team spends like Texas Tech does, especially in the trenches, the fighting Cody Campbells were going to have a real say in that playoff picture, and that's played out so far. But I think Miami is just one of these stories of the year in college football, and I did not see it coming into this year. I didn't see it with Carson Beck. I thought they were really going to struggle with him coming off pretty major surgery to his elbow, and I didn't really like the weapons around him, but they're so good in the trenches. I mean, Ruben Bain, if you're having a Heisman discussion without him, I would say that you're doing it wrong. I think that what they've been able to show so far with Mario Cristobal is that this is a team that has a true identity. Think of how many teams across college football, including two of the ones that we talked about earlier, Penn State and Texas, who are just desperate for an identity. Miami has that in spades. In this day and age in college football, where it's all about just get to the playoff and kind of lean on that identity and hope that that can carry you through a match, you know, a bunch of matchups against elite teams, Miami's got a really good shot. And I don't know that means that they get to a national championship or anything like that, but man, I just think that they have checked so many of these boxes in the first part of the season.
4 5-0 teams in the SEC. You've talked about Ole Miss. You've talked about Oklahoma. Missouri is 5-0. A&M is 5-0. Which of those two teams do you actually see competing for the playoff, or maybe both of them?
I think A&M, and I don't mean to disrespect Mizzou, because I'm like literally writing something right now about Mizzou and what an opportunity this is for them against Alabama, how, you know, for Mizzou it can't be shades of 2023 LSU, a game in which had a lot of eyeballs on it, but ultimately they blew a fourth quarter lead, and it was a missed opportunity for a team that ended up going 10-2, but missed out on the college football playoff in the 4-team era. But I do kind of look at A&M and wonder, man, are they the most versatile team in the SEC? They can beat you in so many different ways. And we saw that play out this weekend where, once again, they got off to a slow start offensively, and you're kind of wondering, man, like, when are they really going to be able to flip that switch, albeit against a very improved Mississippi State defense? And then down the stretch, they're able to turn to Reuben Owens, who, you know, isn't even considered their starter. Le'Veon Moss was banged up in that game, and he runs away with it. And their defense is rock solid. Torian York, man, if you haven't watched this guy play football, he plays linebacker like a throwback, and he is so fun to watch. And what Cassius Hall is doing on that defensive line, it's disruptive. I mean, it's the type of stuff that can take over a game. So I think A&M, and by the way, it's maybe the best receiving duo in the SEC with Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion, a couple of transfers. I just think A&M has more ways to beat teams, and I think they're going to be really, really scary for anybody moving forward.
Connor, I'm a Colin Klein fan. How many years away do you think he is before he's becoming a head coach? Do you see him being an OC for 2, 3, 4 more years, or do you think he could be a head coach in the next year?
Man, I think it's how many months away is he? Because, man, they're doing things in the second year of this offense that I think is showing you why he is so highly regarded. And that's not to say it's perfect all the time, but I just think that they're a team that is watching Marcel Reed develop and make these steps. And for people that are hiring at the power conference level, why wouldn't you look at a Colin Klein? If you are Oklahoma State, you need to be giving that guy a look. And don't tell me, oh, he's too young to be blah, blah, blah. Kenny Dillingham, look what he's doing at Arizona State. And that's a guy that's, you know, he's a week older than I am. And I think that there are a lot of people that are opening up to the idea of these younger head coaches that have the right type of energy. I mean, Dan Lanning is 39, and he might be a top 2 coach in the sport right now. So, like, I think that he is absolutely in line for one of those jobs, especially with a market that everybody's expecting to be crazy this year. I mean, I don't know if he's going to end up getting considered for the Arkansas job. I tend to think that they would want somebody that's already shown he's a head coach. But I do think that he's going to be definitely interviewed for a whole lot of these vacancies.
Is Arkansas in a better position with their football program right now than Kentucky? Yes, because Arkansas doesn't have a buyout that is $37 million we're talking about that would be due within the first 60 days. Think about that. Just process what that means
when Mark Stoops is steering directly into his fourth consecutive disappointing season, and there are fans that have just lost all interest in their sport. It's a dangerous place to be, especially at a school where, don't tell Mark Stoops I said this, but it's a basketball school. And there are people that are losing faith that Kentucky is ever going to get back to where it was at the start of the 2020s, where they had a clear identity. It was blue collar. And it felt like Mark Stoops was just hoping to close his eyes, maybe throw a little bit of money at the offense and hope that everything just worked out. And it is not. I think Kentucky's in a worse spot because, yes, they can make the right hire this offseason. That's still a lot of money to commit to a head coach in a day and age when you're having to pull money from this place, that, and the other. So I would still rather be in Arkansas' shoes than Kentucky's.
Hey, what's the latest with the LSU quarterback? Is he, because that was my preseason pick to win the SEC, a lot of reps, Garrett Nussmeier, I mean, super, super talented. But is it an oblique strain? There's something going on there where he just hasn't looked the same. Does he get back right? Or, I mean, what do you see LSU doing?
I don't have faith that the ab strain is going to all of a sudden heal itself, or if it does, he's working through something with the knee or whatever it is. He doesn't look right, and that's an issue. Look, I picked LSU to win a national title. I thought this was going to be a team that was going to come into this year and just do everything to correct their issues that plagued them midseason last year. And the defense is so much improved, but offensively, man, they just have no idea what to do with Nussmeier because he's not making those throws that are past, the NFL type throws that are, 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, outside the numbers. Like, they're not even trying those throws with him. And I do think that his health is a big part of that. But for a team that has been so reluctant to run the football, it's troubling to think about how much pressure is going to be on Garrett Nussmeier moving forward. And they got a really difficult schedule in the latter half. So, yeah, I definitely lose a little bit of faith each time I watch Garrett Nussmeier, and it's hard to imagine that changing after the bye week.
You don't always win your first bet. That's why MyBookie has you covered. Use our code HOGS, H-O-G-S, and your first bet up to $500 is fully covered. If your pick doesn't hit, you get it right back with our Bet Back bonus. Go to mybookie.ag and use the code HOGS to claim your Bet Back bonus. MyBookie's where bettors win together because bragging's good, but cashing in is better. And your first bet is fully covered. Use our code HOGS.
Must opt in during the bet to use the Bet Back bonus.